And so in this example was to just show how a perspective of ours is to see ourselves as separate. And when we see ourselves from separate, this is the thinking and logical, the ego brain that is there to see the differences. And so, in order to experience anything, and this is what we're here to do, is experience a life, to experience living, to experience, we have to be able to draw a contrast. And in the contrast is the difference between, and this is part of not like this is part of our experience. This is part of our existence, is that our ego brain lives in the world of differences so that we can experience. Now, what matters here is that when we are creating what we want, this is not effective. We cannot be separate from what we are creating. We have to become what we are creating. And if we view it as separate, which I think most of us do, we view the end result, what we're stepping into, as separate from who we are. We can never become it. And what I'm saying is, like, not to all, like, we can't just walk around the world um, without experiencing it. This would rob the ego. This would rob our experience of living. But when we are creating and creating what we want, going for what we want, if we're in this bottom realm and this polarity and this contrast, such as, like you need to eat your dinner before it gets cold, right? Um, Drink that drink before the ice melts, right? Everything is coming into equilibrium, and this is part of the ego brain that is working. This is a script, and in that is, like, our beliefs of the world have us view everything as separate, and this is fine unless we are creating, because we know when we are creating, we have to create what we want, be in the motion of that, the emotion of what would that feel like, and be in that same emotion as it is now. And that is how we can create what we want. And so this exercise is set up just to show how easy it is, how obvious it is for us to disconnect from what we're going for. And this is just a pattern. This is the belief pattern that we have in our background that is what is part of the struggle, part of why it's so difficult to create what we want. And as you go through this exercise, one of the what you might notice is you could look for like spend some time reflecting for you. What is your script? What is the one? What is the one that you keep playing? And typically, most people can discover theirs in one of the 6 sabotaging identities. And one of those is that not good enough, that I am not good enough. And that means that I'll never have what I want. I could define myself as not worthy, which means that I haven't done enough good. I haven't done enough. I haven't given enough to the world. And not until I do that could I get what I wanted. Another one is that we feel that we don't belong. We created a belief that we don't belong. And that means that we have to do something until we can until we can get someone's approval, or we can get someone's love, or will belong to other people. Another one is that we're insignificant. And when we're insignificant, we believe that we don't matter, that we have to do something important to be noticed. And again, this is just all of these are just loops that don't end well. And another one is that like, I'm not perfect. And I believe that I have to be perfect in order to get what I want, to be able to have that desire, is that I have to be perfect. I have to do everything right, that there is an answer. There is a code to be unlocked. The next one is I'm not capable. don't have the skill. I need to go learn more. I need to go improve. I need to go get this, go get that, improve, learn something new, is be partner up with someone, is that I just don't have the resources. I don't have the capability, and I can't do that. And I think that's all of them. I don't belong. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm insignificant. I'm not perfect. And I'm not capable. Yeah, those are the six. Those are all definitions of our beliefs that show us that we are separate from our end result. And this exercise aim was to show that our ego brain, the lowest level of consciousness, has to have these contrasts to fit in, to make sense, to have the experience. And not, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that we don't have to, like, and I think I have in the past said, like, oh, we can't be there. We just have to know that there's another way. This is not the only way to orient. Our beliefs are not the only way to orient to the world. And in that is to, that we can orient when we're creating, we can't be in that. We can't be locked into that orientation, because we will never be able to create what we want from there. If we do, it'll be completely, it's really hard. It's very difficult. It's much, let's put it this way, it's harder than it needs to be. And that is where we can find ourselves, is that's where many of our beliefs have shown up, which has us so much focus on avoiding what we don't like, to avoid things that we don't want to happen. And we're resisting these things. We're pushing them away. It's like, oh, we keep pushing these things away that we don't want to happen. And yet they just keep coming back. They don't go away. Just because you resist something doesn't mean that it goes away. That which you resist persists. Yeah. And in that part is just to notice that our beliefs have us see ourselves as separate from what we're going for. And to truly live the life that we love, we have to step into what that is now. Like, what would that be? And grow into it, become it now, rather than waiting to see it. And rather than being separate from it, is like, no, we are that now. We have everything now. We are enough. We are important. We are significant. We do belong. We are capable, and we are perfect with everything that we have. We can produce that. We are, because we are creating what we're creating, whatever it is anyway. Why not go for that? Why not create that part of it? So hopefully that exercise is helpful. One, to notice that our script is to believe and see ourselves as separate, and if we are creating what we want, how difficult that can be, how much resistance can be there, how much tension can be there, and that there's another way to view it, is like, oh, to view ourselves as that already, so that we can create what we want. Hi, guys. David, thanks for your agenda for our Friday and working our scripts. I did this exercise a couple weeks ago, and it was really helpful for discovering what my scripts are. And so I wanted to share what I discovered with you, for you to do what you want with it. And so here was the exercise so I'll go through the exercise here around this, and then I'll go through my pattern, my script, and how what I noticed for me going through that. And here is just an invitation for you to discover what your script is for you. If you do it, I'd love to hear what you produced. Maybe we can talk. It can be part of Friday. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there for you to do what you want. But in the premise behind all of this is, we create our beliefs that we are separate from our life. And rather than being connected, rather than being a part of it, we view our selves disconnected. And in that is science has produced it from the standpoint of an observer. I think it was Descartes, uh, Rene Descartes, Cartesian, around to pull ourselves out of it, away from it, pull ourselves out and view nature, view the universe as a bystander outside of the whole system. And so that has compounding effects if we don't include everything that's happening with us. We can view ourselves as separate and not a part of. Just to, and in that, our beliefs come from that point of view. And so here, I'm sharing just this document with you, that as we're separate, then we're trying to resolve this sense of incompleteness that we actually end up creating. And this is part of avoiding what we're going for. And in that is resisting, not resisting, but more of, avoiding, resisting. It's like we don't want things to happen to us. And so we do everything so that it doesn't happen. And part of that is avoiding, it's distraction, it is problem solving. It's part of the problem solving as our culture and society is in today. And so here's just the exercise for you to explore. They're written here, for you to go through. And what you could sit with and just answer these questions for you is to name something you want that you haven't got yet. And what would it give you? What do you believe you need to do to get it? And then of that, inside of that, what is your definition and meaning of three parts here, of yourself, of others, and of the world? And when I mean by definition, a definition is I am. How are you defining yourself? I define myself. I am this in regards to this thing that you haven't produced yet. And the meaning of that is how you can think about filling that in. So in regards, in regards to yourself, I view myself as this, and the meaning of that is. And then I define others. Others are this, and that means regarding to what you want. And then I view like the world is, the definition of the world is this, and the meaning of that. And it's just an exercise for you to explore what's there for you. Here's what, just to share, here's mine. And what I worked in this was to notice my pattern, my script, my structure, that I was built all of my beliefs upon. And here it is. That it was never good enough, that I always wanted more. And as I would go for that, I was going for success, winning, bigger, competitive advantage. And as I would go for that, I get close to that. My never good enough story would always pull me back until one, I would either get it, I would change the goal, I would be distracted, and I would move on. And what would happen is that I would get bored, frustrated, angry that I couldn't get it, that I couldn't get there. And then I would go back. I would go back to never good enough. And I'd sit here and then I'd go for something else again, success, win, big. I can get it. I'll change it, distract it. I'll move on. And when I have that, then it's bored, frustrated, angry, can't have that, and back up again. And this was my pattern. It was never good enough. It was never enough. It was always bigger. And when I could recognize that pattern, and here's what showed up over here as I was going for this. It was my validator was there, the judger. I was blaming my ego. The leader, successful leader, was my contrast. And it was always going for bigger and better. It was never going to be enough. And as I would go for that, because the identities of never good enough and a winner and successful could never line up. They could never match up. They would never be equal, which then throws us in this pattern. And we think that we're going for what we want. In all reality, it could be more that we're just avoiding what we don't want to happen rather than going for what we love. It's like, oh, we can't have that. There's something deep inside of us that says we can't have that. We're not allowed to have that. And if all of our other beliefs are built on top of one of these patterns, we're going to become, that is going to become our reality. Because how often do you challenge your beliefs? How often do we challenge our scripts? And what happens is that this becomes our patterns. And these patterns always have 2 points. Trying to get to a page that I wanted to get to here. I think it's around here. And when we're early in our childhood, sorry, just checking the time. When we're early in our childhood, before the ego brain is developed, early on, it's we call it our super genius, our super conscious, and the unconscious are the two that are working together. And what happens is as we go through life, all of a sudden we start to create these beliefs, and then our self-conscious shows up, and part of the self-conscious shows up is when we become limited in our perspective. We believe that I can't have what we want. We create this belief and we don't challenge it. See, we just accept our beliefs as it is that way. And as a child at the age of 4, we created this belief that one of them could be, I can't have what I want. And we just accept that, yes, it is true, because it creates our reality. And then we're looking to validate it. We're looking to judge. We're looking for it. And it doesn't mean that all of them have stayed there, but some event could trigger that. And that could become an emotional event that says, yes, that is the way that the world is. That is how it works. That is my reality. And what happens is this pattern kicks into place and it just becomes reinforcement for what we believe. And so we can step ourselves into this pattern. And a lot of it in this pattern is a need to fix ourselves, a need that we are broken and that we need to fix ourselves. And all of this is a result of us becoming the self-conscious, becoming the ego, becoming the contrast between having the polarities between positive and negative, good and bad. You think about growing up as a child, it was always around, how do I fit into the family? And this shapes our beliefs. How do I belong more? How do I get more love? How am I loved more? How do I get loved less? What is good? What is bad? What is right? What is wrong? And all of these begin to shape our beliefs. And then the beliefs are just built up on top of them. And what that is just a continual running of these scripts. And then we grow up and realize that, oh, maybe we have to go to the past and do an archaeological dig of where did this belief come from? When in all reality, that's just saying that you're broken and you need to be fixed, which is not the case, which is not true. And this is a big part of why everything is a struggle, is because of these beliefs that we put in there as a child to cope with
some event, some moment, some decision that triggered us to say, oh, like this is my new belief, this is my new reality. And we don't have a way of going back and just knowing that we just didn't realize that there was other choices in the moment. There was other decisions that could have been made. And so often and so much of it just continually being trapped by our past. So I just wanted to share that with you. I wanted to share my pattern with you and how cool that is. Hope that's helpful.